There? This table will limit me?
Tell us your name and when you started Wing Chun.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. My name's Vince Lee, and from San Francisco. Started with Ken in 1971 at a tender age of 16, and part of the old Bush Street gang.
You know, at that time, Ken was teaching in a couple of different places, so you could actually follow him around the Bay Area. So I think it was Monday, Wednesday, he taught in San Leandro I think there were a couple of brothers, and he taught in their garage. And then the Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, he taught at Bush Street. And then Friday nights, he was at San Jose State. So you could actually, if you wanted to, you could actually follow Ken around the Bay Area and take classes for every day of the week except for Sundays, I guess. Even God rested on the seventh day like Ken, right? So
he wanted to not just teach students how to do Wing Chun, but he wanted ones who were really interested in the art. And so he had this group that were interested in the understanding the art itself, not just doing it.
His hands were absolutely amazing. I knew right away that Sifu Ken was a real Kung Fu master, just in the way that he talked, in the way that he demonstrated his exhibition of power. Never seen anything like that.
It was like my eyes were open, to what real martial arts were for the first time.
He knows it really backwards and forwards. I mean, I can ask him any question. I mean, and I had in the past anything I can think of, he would just have the answer right away. It means that he has thought about it. It's not something that, you just learn it from the surface, and if you ask somebody a deep question about any kind of subject, they haven't thought about it themselves, it will be very superficial. But with Ken, any kind of question I ask him about Wing Chun, he has the answer. That's because I think he thought it through.
You always see the Kung Fu movies where one hit and the guy will die. Over here, in my mind, that one hit, this was the man that actually could do it. This is the man that could actually take your head right off the socket.
Here's a person I never met or seen before, but he really lived up to what everybody had kind of described or mentioned about him. He was certainly very, very enthusiastic and very knowledgeable about the art, and so willing to share, and that was one of the most captivating things.
It's easy for somebody to correct someone else. I mean, if you look at a particular stance, a movement, you can correct 100 things or maybe more. But a teacher isn't there to just say, fix this, fix this, fix this. But to get to a point where you go, fix this piece, and the other ones will kind of follow. Right? And that's what Ken can do.
He's able to tailor the message to the student. He knows exactly what to tell you or the correction to give you in order to help you go to the next level.
Ken used to say, grind it, and we would lop self, and we would come home, and it would be black and blue from your wrist to your elbow, right?
I think he's constantly trying to find new ways and new approaches to describe the art and to have a better sense of how it might land with the student. So he's always improving and evolving as a teacher, which I think is vital. I mean, because every student he encounters is not the same.
He raised the bar on what an instructor should be over any other prior instructors I had.
It wasn't until I met Ken that the philosophy fundamentally changed, where mastery became the more important thing. It's not about accumulating techniques, it's about mastering, a set of fundamental principles. And so that kind of changed my whole mindset about how martial arts were supposed to be practiced, and how you became better. And in fact, that changed my outlook in my personal life and my professional life as well.
Learn from him, through his 50 plus years of Wing Chun experience and life experience. And so it's given me a lens for analyzing my life. So that includes the way I approach doing business. It includes the way I approach family matters, the way I raise my kids.
I've heard Ken say many times, we become Wing Chun and Wing Chun becomes us. And I really believe that that's true. The basic ideas of Wing Chun, those basic principles that help to guide proper practice, fold into everything we do.
Wing Chun has helped me see beyond, many limitations I might have encountered in my own life.
He's one Sifu who has never shied away from cultivating his hands.
Ken's penchant and ability to be introspective. I've seen that through the 20 plus years that I have known him, taking things to heart, always looking for how can I do this better for myself? How can I relay it better in a way that people can understand it?
I think there's a real evolution going on in his ability to express and your ability to receive.
I've seen him engage with other teachers. I've seen him lower his own ego and be humble to people to show them respect, right? So for example, in Beijing, we met Feng Zhiqiang and seeing, it's not about him. He's there on his turf, showing his respect to this person.
Ken went back to Hong Kong. Every time when he come back to USA, I'm always, with him together to learn some new thing from what Ken does.
Every time Sifu Ben, his hands got a little more vicious, a little stronger. He did things a little different way.
Thanks to Ken for all his teachings, and we really appreciate all his dedication to the art and perpetuating it to us. So that makes a big difference. So thanks, Ken, for bringing it to us, all your research and all your funny stories of Long Serong and Yip Man and Wing Chun in general, and just martial arts in general.
Thank you for so generously sharing with us what Leong Shong shared with you.
Happy birthday, Ken! Wishing you good health and happiness from Singapore.
Sifu, thank you. Words cannot express how you have impacted my life and the life of people around you. Your legacy lives on in your students and grand students. 薪火相传. Thank you.
I thank Ken for his patience, I thank Ken for his knowledge, and I think he's totally dedicated to the art.
Ken, I'm deeply indebted to you for your teaching over all these years, for your care for our class, and for your own deep gratitude for your lineage and our lineage.
I'd like to thank Ken for being so patient with me, even though I can't get it a lot of times and still make those stupid mistakes.
Happy birthday, Ken. Thank you very, very much for your generosity and gift of Wing Chun. You've taught me that, and also you've taught me to be Chinese.
There are no words to say thank you to the degree that I appreciate you.
For what I've learned from you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I hope there are many more years to come of you, teaching me and teaching my fellow students.
I always tell people, even though I learned from Yip Man, a little bit, I never consider he is my Sifu. Ken is my real Sifu. Like I said again, he is my best Sifu and he's my best friend.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks.
I thank you, Ken, very much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you very much.
Sifu Ken, your influence on me began in 1971 when you challenged my sincerity in joining Bush Street Wing Chun. 40 non-stop years later, I'm still interested in learning more about your wisdom and your technical instructions.
So I first joined Sifu Ken in '72, a year after Vince, and although it's for a very short time, I guess I didn't last very long, but it was a great training experience.
It continues to be an honor and a privilege to be closely associated with your teachings of Longsheng Wing Chun. We are so very fortunate to be under your keen guidance.
So I finally managed to join Wing Chun the past 6 years, and up to this point not long ago I just realized that I'm just starting to learn. The style is very simple in forms, but conversely it's very complex and deep.
So thank you for your research, your perseverance, and in believing in us. I am your forever humble Longsheng Wing Chun student.
So with the many years of you refining the art of Wing Chun in various levels, we benefit in practicing the art to its possible higher potential levels. And as you would demonstrate at times, practicing the art in its most truest forms offer more stealthiness and incredible power levels. So thank you Sifu Ken for sharing and teaching the art for over 5 decades of diligence and excellence.
Hi Sifu, first I'd like to wish you a belated happy birthday and to congratulate you on your 50th anniversary of teaching. That is indeed a wonderful achievement. There's 3 things I admire about you. First is your amazing skill, and second is your generosity in teaching. Third is your analytic mind. It seems to me that you're constantly trying to improve your skill and to understand the reasons behind the smallest details of your art. One of the things I enjoy are your unique metaphors that you use. The first one I remember was that your punches are coming like the lemmings are coming over the cliff. Too many lemmings. And then there's one that I find particularly funny was the one, don't hold your head up like the Red Guard holding the book, which I guess I have a habit of doing. And then my favorite times were at Stanford when the class was over and we would slowly walk to the parking lot and we would still discuss Wing Chun and stop periodically to go over moves, and then finally we would reach your car and at long last we would say goodnight. I also love the many stories you tell about Hong Kong and about your Sifu Longsheng. His saying was, "If you found me, you're lucky." I can say with certainty that all of us are equally lucky to have found Kenneth Chung. Thank you.
Thank you for so generously sharing with us what Longsheng shared with you. The essence of Chinese martial arts and the treasure that is Wing Chun. You, Sifu Ken, are truly a grandmaster of Wing Chun.
師傅我都覺得好幸運啦，可以跟你學咗咁多年功夫，亦都俾我見識到咩字真功夫嘅。咁師傅咁希望你多啲翻嚟香港咯喎，咁就俾我再跟你再學多啲嘢。咁嘅喺新嘅一年咧都喺呢度咧都祝你身體健康啦，龍馬精神啦，萬事勝意嘅。
Hi Ken, first off, congratulations on 50 years of Wing Chun. Wow. And second, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for your dedication to the art. Thank you for ensuring its preservation as well as its growth for years to come. A series of concepts, by the way, which I did not fully appreciate when I first started taking classes back in 2001. I don't think I had any idea how lucky I was to be a member of one of your groups or really what it meant. It wasn't until my first Wing Chun camp in 2003 that I began to see things differently. Even though I had no real reason to be at camp because I didn't know much more than the first set or some Dan Shi Sao, I wanted to go to see what the Wing Chun future might be like, as well as to see some fine practitioners at work. It was the first day of camp, and I went to bed rather early because I was jet lagged. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up because I heard voices. I poked my head into the main conference room and was surprised to see most of the people from the camp were still wide awake and sitting in chairs, sitting around you and talking and offering suggestions. It turns out that at the time you were quite concerned with sticking in terms of students' Chi Sao practice. You were quite troubled with the fact that people didn't seem to be sticking as much as they used to, and you were concerned that this was going to be lost as part of future practice in generations to come. Now, this really struck me because I've had quite a few teachers in the past. Some are okay, some not so much. But to a person, all they did was talk about their own skills, how great they were, and how much better life would be if their students were just like them. This is the first time I actually had a teacher who was not only a finely accomplished practitioner in their own right, but was also concerned about the art in of itself, what it meant, where it was going, and how to preserve such a precious thing. It was at that point that I knew I wanted to stay with Wing Chun. Not only did the art have so much to offer, but it wasn't just a class that I was joining, but a community, if not essentially a movement. That was a long time ago, and I've never regretted it. So, for myself and for other Wing Chun practitioners, Ken, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for everything. And congratulations, once again, on 50 years of Wing Chun.
And I just want to say thank you for sharing all that you shared. It's been an incredible experience for certain. For me, it's like you opened a door to like this hidden world or hidden universe that I never dreamed possible in martial arts. I remember the first time I felt your power, and I think that's probably one of the main things that just inspired me and kept me motivated to continuing the journey in martial arts and in Wing Chun. And for all that, I thank you very much, and appreciate your willingness to share and give all that you've given to the martial arts community and to the world.
So one of my more fonder memories of Ken was my second Wing Chun camp, I think, and Humphrey had this idea, told us to buy these. I called them Chinese tamales. That's what they look like. And I had to go into this grocery store to find them. He wrote it down in Chinese for us and everything. And we get up there and we presented to him at the lunch and told him, you know, what Humphrey had told us to say. And yeah, everybody's looking at us. I mean, who the heck are these dudes, you know? So later, we go to his class, and he sees us walking up, and he's all smiling, and he's like, they will show you something you have never seen before. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, thanks, Cam, man. You know, I have all these people running at us trying to find out what it is. But it was all thanks to Humphrey, why we even had that, and why Houston resonates with Ken the way that it does. And that's because of Humphrey. Wouldn't even know Ken the way that I do if it wasn't for Humphrey. So, good times.
Ken, you have a great heart. You're very kind. You spend time, you travel all over the world, making yourself available, meeting with people, and with that you bring your years of consistent perseverance and dedication and years of diligence. And along with those principles, you share your hard-earned knowledge and patience. And I can't thank you enough. Really, you know, your obsession with Wing Chun and learning it and getting out there and spreading it through that has touched me. I have an obsession, and my impression of you is a long and lasting one. It's a good one.
Hi, Ken. Thank you for your teaching of Wing Chun and for being so generous with your time. It was a privilege for me to have been part of the Stanford Wing Chun class from fall 2012 through fall 2016, and it was also a privilege for me to serve as the student president for part of that time. It was definitely a highlight of mine to learn Wing Chun during my time in the Bay Area as a PhD graduate student at Stanford. I first learned about the class through the website, and as a kid, I didn't have very many opportunities to learn Chinese martial arts, even though I was interested. growing up in Texas. But when I came to Stanford, after learning about the class, I decided to take the opportunity to visit the class. And when I visited, I think one of the main things that stuck out to me was that the teaching style seemed to be very authentic. And I think that's the main thing that drew me into the class. So I remember on Monday and Wednesday evenings going from the organic chemistry laboratory where I worked, and then going to the math department basement where the Wing Chun class was held for most of my time at Stanford before moving to the racquetball courts. I just remember the just enjoying changing mindset from my chemistry studies to trying to learn Wing Chun, and I enjoyed being able to focus on something different outside of the studies. And it was very challenging, but also very rewarding. And one thing that I appreciate about your teaching style is your hands-on approach through the demonstrations and pak sao, sticky hands, and also your explanations, especially using the Chinese idioms. So it was a very good time for me to learn more about Wing Chun from you and also the other students in the class. So with that, I'd just like to say that I feel very fortunate to have been able to find your class and have found something so enriching to learn and to be a part of outside of my chemistry studies. And I do feel that I have grown as a person through my training in Wing Chun. Thank you for helping me to develop an appreciation for Wing Chun. And even though I already moved from the Bay Area to Southern California for my postdoc, I will continue to train in the years to come. Thank you, Sifu Ken.
Hey, Ken. I'm very glad to be able to do this and show my appreciation for what you have instilled in me and many others. One of my favorite memories is being in a seminar in Buffalo, New York, and I just see you, and I've been hearing about you when I was training in Minneapolis, and I was only imagining what you look like, and I see you, and one guy goes, can you do that thing that you do, and you push people so everybody gets in a circle, and I see you pushing everybody, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then you get to me and you push me, and I'm like, oh, I'm just super stunned at like just what little energy you put and how much of it I took and how far I was pushed back, and I was amazed from then on. I also would like to share a personal message with you is, keep doing what you do and sharing the word about Wing Chun. You never know who you're going to influence, and for me, it's been a huge influence on me, just the way of thinking, the attitude. It applies to more than just martial arts. It applies to just your way of thinking. So for that, I'm very humbled and I appreciate you.
Hi, I'm Ronnie. I study under Sifu Ben in San Jose Wing Chun just over 10 years now. Also, whenever Sifu Ken is in town, because he's traveled a lot, I also study under him on those Saturdays. My limited knowledge and experience of the art, I can describe Sifu Ken's energy is tremendous, soft, yet powerful and lethal. I can say he expressed most efficiently and connecting to the best energy from various body parts, muscles, ligament, knee, elbows, and even wrists and fingers, and so on. I can further describe Sifu Ken's energy is relentless, continuous, anticipating, and controlling. Not necessarily in those orders, leaving his opponents no chance at all. My humble opinion is, I believe Sifu Ken may be the best Wing Chun martial artist in our current generation. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah LaRose Holland. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I just want to say congratulations, Ken, on 50 years of teaching Kung Fu. I feel really lucky that I got to meet you and train with you on a few different occasions in California, New York, and Cleveland. I think one of my favorite things about Ken is just what a kind, gentle soul he is, because he's such a strong, powerful presence in Wing Chun Kung Fu, and he's so generous with sharing that with everybody. The first time I met him, I remember we touched hands and he thought that maybe I was trying to test him and see what I could do. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and Ken knew exactly what he was doing. And it just was fascinating to feel the strength and power and precision that he had. So congratulations, Ken, to many more years. Hope you're doing fantastic.
Hey Ken, Wing Chun here. I just wanted to thank you so much for what you were able to pass on to me, poor student as I am, and all that you taught me. I do remember a time when you were teaching over at De Anza. I don't know if you remember Alan, big guy, he was a football player in college, and you had him up there demoing, and out of the blue, it looked like Alan just like lunged at you, and you immediately was to your side, and you spun and dropped, and we heard like, you know, a large kind of a continuous thump. We knew you hit him, but we couldn't even tell how many times you hit him, and immediately you, like, after that split, like not even a second, you said, oh, are you okay? And he's like, oh yeah, but then he stepped down, and I was like, are you all right? He goes, yeah, I think I'm just gonna go home now. I'm like, okay. And what you may not have known was, like, his girlfriend came up to me at work going, what did you do to him? And I'm like, what's going on? Well, what happened? And she said he's like totally bruised all over here, and he couldn't move, and he'd already been out for that week. He's probably out longer than that too. And she said he couldn't move and stuff. He refused to go to the doctor, and we finally came back in. He's still moving kind of slow. Everything was ginger to the touch, and I'm like, oh, what were you doing? And he said, I just needed to know if it was real. And he goes, it definitely is. So I was like, wow, okay, I got to remember that. Never surprise Ken.
Hi, my name is Mike Cito, and I'm one of Hoover Chan's senior students. I've been studying Wing Chun for a long time, and I first met Sifu Ken back in the early 90s, and when Hoover first started teaching. And I was new to Wing Chun and really enjoyed it and loved it very much. After meeting him, I learned a tremendous amount about the intricacies of Wing Chun, but more importantly, Ken's softness but power. I do remember a really interesting time when I was sparring with him where he actually left a handprint on my chest. I know for those of you who felt his power, it was very soft, but it went right through your body. Another time I remember is when he told me to be careful, and he got very serious, took his glasses off, and that look, and he just tells you, he says, be careful, don't move. And then he went, bam, hit me across the head, and I went, grr, my neck cracked, and he says, okay, other side. And I didn't understand it at the time, but I guess he was just trying to get me to relax. Over the years, I got to know him better and better, and really just learned how special of a person he is. And he even attended my wedding in '97, and again, really appreciated his attendance. And I enjoy every time we get to see each other briefly, throughout the years. The first thing I will say is, Sifu, happy birthday, and many, many more to come. It's always a pleasure to see you, and I look forward to seeing you again. And I do have a lot of things to learn, obviously, but I remember the teachings that you've given me over the years, and I just want to say congratulations and happy birthday.
Hi, Ken. Congratulations on 50 years of teaching Lung Sheng Wing Chun to thousands of students worldwide. I'm happy to say that I'm one of those students. I'll always remember the first time we met, when my fellow classmate Steve Sanchez told me to ask you Where does the power come from? You've been an inspiration to me, and I look forward to the next 50 years. Thank you, and God bless you.
I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday, and I've really enjoyed the workshops that you've hosted, and I've learned a lot from you. Thank you.
Hi Ken, I'd like to wish you a happy birthday and congratulations on your 50th anniversary in teaching Wing Chun. I'd like to thank you for your dedication in keeping this wonderful art alive, and your dedication in passing this on to future generations. I look forward to many more opportunities to absorb your knowledge and your wonderful teachings. Thank you very much.
师傅你好，真心是好久不见，我现在也结婚生孩子了，我带我的儿子们下一次来拜见师傅。
Hi Ken, I want to congratulate you on your 50 years of teaching Wing Chun. I also want to thank you for opening the doors so that the style of Wing Chun you've been teaching could be taught here in Hawaii. Thank you for meeting with Robert Young, who had taught here since the 70s, and meeting with his senior students so that there wouldn't be any kind of conflict when I started teaching here. So thank you again, and congratulations.
Ken, I want to give my little 2 cents in for the tribute to you for all that you've done. I know that I've not been with you as many years as so many, probably 7 or 8 years, and I didn't meet you for the first couple of years. But even those few times that I've met you, I can think of many things that are my most memorable moment. But actually my most memorable moment is just visiting you in San Francisco during your celebration of your birthday and your years of teaching. And that was the night when we were at Stanford and we were practicing, and I was doing hands with someone and started not to use very good Wing Chun. The things that we're doing were getting a little, I don't know, active, a little physical, and I heard you on the side all of a sudden kind of yell to me and said, "Jeff, down." And how do I say this? It was kind of like a father talking to his son, correcting him. And I felt a little embarrassed, a little ashamed, because I knew I wasn't doing what I could. And you'd say, why is that a memorable moment? Because you, and this goes into the other question about you, what I appreciate about you is that you want the best from your students. I didn't take that as a criticism. I didn't take that as anything better than my teacher trying to make the best student possible, to make a student as faithful to what Lung Sheng taught you, to your faithfulness in trying to get the purest, best Wing Chun out of everybody. Ken, I hope you never, ever stop correcting us, that you never stop pointing out every little thing that we're not doing correctly that would not help further the truth and the purity of the Wing Chun lineage that you're so proud of. Ken, thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for guiding us to be the best that we can be. Never stop. And again, thank you for everything.